If Summit can take down today, but no, today, using that shield from the charge shot star power, is able to stay alive just about. This is a much closer game at the moment. Aspartam pushing up, but it's going to take a lot of damage from Amber's super and Amber's regular attack and is going to fall. We've got a bit of a stalemate in the middle, Teddy. This is quite intense.
Yeah, this means that any damage that they can deal is going to be so important, because in the end it could make the difference. As we often see in those slower paced games, Aspartam is going to miss his super, and that means that Monsoon can get the kill, trying to get healed up. But, oh my god.
Oh, the healing wasn't able to come in time. Healed from one buyer and damaged by the other at the same time. Uh-oh, this is bad for Phoenix, though. The damage is coming in. Nova have control. Phoenix need to clap back, and now.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of time to make it happen. Summit down to 17 HP, but still alive for now. Also so low himself, but there is more and more damage hitting that red save. Nothing that Phoenix can't come back from. The problem is going to be having a successful middle retake, and they need it really quickly. Jump in from Summit, that's quite a bit of value. He should be going down. The only killer left alive. I don't think this is happening. Yep, this should be Nova Esports getting towards match point. Only 5 seconds left, and there's just not enough damage that Phoenix could even deal if they wanted to. Actually got a bit close, but it's not going to be enough in the end. That means that Nova Esports, despite a good fight from Phoenix, are going to be getting to match points and only need one more game to close this one out.
That was quite the surprise appearance from the superhero Amber skin, just appearing when the team needed her the most. It is a superhero skin, right? That's what we're looking at. So, or is it like a magician?
I'm not entirely sure, to be completely
I love
honest.
this moment. That was so funny, just getting hit by Byron projectiles left, right, and center. But yeah, a great attempt at a comeback from Phoenix there. I'm excited, Teddy. I don't know which way this set's going to go. I want to see what compositions come out in the next game, and whether Nova can take it all the way, or whether Phoenix can really give them an early run for their money and take them all the way to set 3. Honestly, I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too. I want to see this one go all the way and see Nova getting challenged even more than I want to see Phoenix being successful. I would love for them to do well. I really just want to see Nova getting, in a position where they are in danger, where they can lose a title of monthly finalist winners.
Well, here we go. We're going to jump into game 3 of a heist. Byron, Colette, and B once again from Nova. Byron, Colette, and Piper from Phoenix. This is going to get intense. The battle on the left has begun. Byron is going to be healing Colette as much as he can, but Colette goes down. This time Summit on the Colette, interestingly, and Monsoon playing the Piper. So Phoenix have switched things up a little bit.
Yeah, so far a solid start from Nova, as Aspartam is going to be popping off on that Colette. Summit, yeah, interestingly enough, is going to be the Colette for Phoenix this time around. Not sure why Phoenix keeps switching around comms, since it was working out so well in that first game. But there we go, nice super from Aspartam, able to just chain another one right after. Yeah, they're just not willing to go down, but Summit is quite far away from the Byron, which means that he should be going down.
What?
Maybe, no, okay, he will. Dude, this is just so back and forth, and those fights, it's like they never end. The problem, though, is that safe is down to 10% right now.
Nova had such a... from where I was sitting, Nova had such good control over that fight between the two Colettes. They were just outplaying ever so slightly bit by bit. Congratulations to Nova Esports making it through to the semi-finals. Commiserations to Phoenix, but I will say that was an incredible first game of Heist. What a fantastic win from them. And Monsoon, at the moment, obviously we've still got a lot of the broadcast to go, but at the moment, that's my play of the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. That was absolutely incredible. I still, honestly, I wonder why they were switching off comms and whoever was running the different brawlers every game in that second set. Because I feel like, if it works, why would you change it around? Just, keep it up like that. And I like the fact that you innovate even if it's working, because you always want to be, one edge just ahead of your opponents. But I don't know, it just went downhill from there, and I'm not entirely agreeing with that decision. But it is going to be Nova Esports, like most of you expected, going through to the semifinals, still unbeaten in any monthly final. I mean, that's quite an achievement, and so many teams are looking to take that away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Phoenix included. They definitely put up a fight in Heist, and I'm sure that we will see them again in future months. But for now, yes, Nova will be moving forward. They will be battling against VCT Return or CJR, whichever of those two teams win the next quarterfinal, which will be coming up in just a few moments. But here you go. Here was where Heist started to go a little more downhill for Phoenix. Well, dramatically downhill for Phoenix. Aspartam winning that 1v1 Colette battle, and then the Nova able to just wail at the enemy save. Here's Aspartam with his Colette. Love to see it. Most used brawlers so far, 37% of the team damage. You know, pretty even. These Nova make for a fantastic team. But there you go. That is going to be the first match of the day. And we are going to move very swiftly forward to the second match of the day. VCT Return up against CJR. Well, what do you hope to see from this one, Teddy?
Well, you know, it's two teams that have been quite back and forth in the mainland China scene, having some decent months, some months a little bit less, still yet to really thrive in the competitive scene. I think this month could be their chance, and hopefully they show us why.
Yeah, exactly. But both of these teams, we wouldn't consider, you know, the top dogs of the region. But, you know, they're facing up against each other in the quarterfinals. One of these teams will have the tough job of facing up against Nova in the semifinals, which would be interesting. But which of those teams is going to earn that? We'll be finding out in this coming match. It's going to be a good one. It's nice to see some of the different teams that we're not particularly used to seeing all of the time. Here are the maps. We're going to start with Gem Grab on Double Swoosh before moving on to Siege on some Assembly Required, and then Brawl Ball if we get there. But here we go. Double Swoosh for a little bit of Gem Grab. Again, this is one of the newer competitive maps since things switched over. And I'm personally, Teddy, I'm loving to see the variety.
Oh, this is one of my all-time favorite maps. Especially, you know, specifically to Gem Grab. Absolutely loving. It's actually a returning map into competitive. It was there last year. Didn't quite make the cut earlier this year, but you know, it's back, and I just absolutely love it. I love how the meta has turned around. We got our bans though. Max and Stu on the side of VCT, Gene and Stu for CJR. Well, seems like they don't want to be facing any Stu, but what they might be facing is some Bell.
Yes, Bell is extremely likely. Both teams banning Stu really does go to show how strong this brawler is. I mean, Stu isn't even, you know, a new brawler anymore. It's actually not even the brawler that came before the new brawler. It's the one that came before that. Usually it's the most recent one that's being banned. That does go to show you just how strong Stu is. And also, again, I mention this every month, I think the thing about Stu is not just strength, it's how high the skill ceiling is. I believe the best Stu players will really be able to outplay other players, which is why it's quite scary. And you know, each time at least one of those teams is going to want to ban it away. Max and Gene are they're like those fringe bans, you know. They're not ones you expect to happen frequently, but you're not surprised when you see that Max or Gene has been banned.
I completely agree. That's pretty much where I'm at as well. This does leave us with an 8-bit duel in the center, as well as Tara versus Amber on the right lane. Left side is Skarl versus Crow. Interesting. We got a lot of different brawlers all over the place. We'll see which picks pay off better. So far, it's going to be on the side of VCT, as they're able to get the 2 first kills, as well as 4 out of the 5 first gems. Pretty solid start for now. We'll have to see, you know, once those supers start building up, how much value they can find. But the matchups are looking pretty good in favor of VCT.
Yeah, definitely no complaints from them at the moment. If Mayo can, yes, take care of Genio, then that is a very nice start for them. They seem to have full control. Engine and Cook are making a push down the center. Cook misses a super though, and that Tara Shade isn't going to do all that much. It looks like VCT have got a pretty good grip on the map.
Yeah,
Oh.
just as you say that, they do
Oh.
lose their gem carrier, and Engine has 9 gems. Engine has been
What?
doing so much work for CJR. Everyone was losing their lanes for CGR, but Engine somehow holding on strong to the mid, and now the countdown is going. Mayo is going to be their chance to interrupt it, but it's not going to be successful, and the pull to close things out from Crook, and that means that somehow this first game is going the way of CJR. Not entirely sure what, how, and when, but I can tell you that the 8-bit in the center was putting in some serious work.
Maybe that's play of the day now. It was stolen. This was absolutely stolen by Engine, and you love to see it if you're CJR. They get the fight in the middle. Engine gets just enough of the gems, manages to teleport away, and get yet another elimination. That was fantastic. And very well played by Engine. It really looked like VCT were going to win that game, but Engine just stole it away, and that's awesome.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, honestly, like I think Brawl Stars is a team game, right? But there are moments where individuals really pop off and perform, and this was one of those moments because everyone was consistently losing lane on their team. Like, no one was surviving and winning fights on their lanes. You're not supposed to be winning the game like that. Like that's not how Brawl Stars works. You need to play well as a team, and somehow Engine was just absolutely popping off, winning those fights in the middle and able to ultimately steal all those gems away from VCT and pick up that win. Now, that's going to work once. I don't think that can work out for an entire match. I think it's going to be, about the team and how they can play together and if they can perform better together. Otherwise, it's still going to be quite a challenge for them to take down VCT.
All right, well, pretty similar start here. Mayo runs in, gets the elimination on the Crow. Engine, though, is being focused down by Mayo, not wanting to make the same mistake again. That is a nice team wipe from VCT return, and this is more what they're all about. Engine comes in with the damage booster. Let's see how VCT go to deal with that one.
Yeah, I mean, the start was already much better from VCT, where you could see that they won their lanes, but afterwards they were able to provide help in the center to just keep the pressure up, whereas in game number 1 it just felt like they were winning their lanes and just waiting for their opponent to respawn and go back to their lane fight. And you have to think about the team, and it's looking much better this time around. It's still a pretty close game, and I think that Engine, once again, is holding on really, really firmly to that center control and consistently out-damaging Green T in the center area. He does take quite a bit of damage, has to be careful because a beam can quickly reach its target. But so far, CJR just building up the lead, and once again, I think that Engine is a lot to blame or to praise, depending on your perspective, for this outcome.
Well, there you go. Engine has done it again. Engine has the gems, and Engine can just teleport away with the gadget. Unreal. VCT returned quite the challenge to catch up to Engine, thanks to Genio on the Crow and Cook on the Tara, using attacks and supers to slow the other team down. That's going to do it. CJR take a gem grab, and we are moving right on to Siege.
Yeah, this is absolutely impressive, and I do think that overall as a team CJR played better, but still they were losing lane like 60-70% of the time, and yet somehow Engine made it super convincing. Like, once again, it is a team game, but it's one of those moments where one player particularly pops off and gets some really impressive results and basically carries the team. And dude, this is just so confusing. The last time I've seen something like that was pretty much Lena earlier in this year, and even he has been struggling to keep that pace nowadays. This is really impressive from Engine and from CJR in general. I'm wondering if they can keep it up, especially when they can actually start to play some brawlers that are a bit more hyper carries, because 8-bit isn't really supposed to be doing that. He's supposed to be kind of like, a consistent brawler that does his thing, but he kind of relies on his teammates to pop off. And Here it was the 8-bit popping off.
Well, here we go. Let's play some Siege. Some assembly required. Again, this is a map that's been rotated back into competitive. And a very interesting map, thanks to all of those little obstacles, those thin walls that can be obviously attacked through by brawlers like Jackie. Makes for some very interesting scenarios.
Oh yeah, I played this in Power League yesterday, and we faced a Jackie, and it was an absolute nightmare. At higher level, there is, people are better than me at the game, so they're able to deal with those scenarios a whole lot better. So I still think Jackie's a pretty decent brawler here. One of the few maps where she's playable. I do feel like we don't see her a whole lot anyways. I feel like BB is kind of a better option overall, just because it goes so fast with the star power, right? Just running around the map, getting bolts left and right. We can still expect something like a Jean as well, or, well, obviously Barley. And here we go. We have the Sandy coming in too, the Carl, the Frank, and we do have a Jackie on Lynn. We'll see how that is going to pay off for VCT.
Frank with the super is going to just tear through those walls. You know what? You don't have to worry about the enemy Jackie attacking you through them if you just destroy them in the first place. The first siege does go in favor of VCT return, but the Bolt lead lies very heavily in CJR's favor, and that siege bot isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot of damage. It's more no damage whatsoever, actually. And look at that, nice retake from CJR, able to initiate things with the first kill. Nice stun from Genio as well. Lin was just not ready for it, and that's going to be quite a couple of bolts getting banged by CJR. None on the side of VCT for this preparation phase. This is going to be quite a siege bot in favor of CJR, and they might even actually get the lead for the next one as well.
It's really interesting, Teddy, in that there's been a repeating pattern in this match so far, where every single game VCT return seem to have the dominant start, and then CGR make this huge comeback. It's happened in both gem grab games. It seems to be happening now in Siege, although that Ike isn't really taking any damage, only 4%. That's not that much at all.
Yeah, but in the bigger picture, there is a bold lead in favor of CJR. They still have a bit more control, so they look to widen up that lead. They do lose a player, which is a nice opportunity for VCT to make something happen. The stun does connect, but even Genio did not expect it to connect, so he was running away to stay alive. And this could be a comeback from VCT, but it's still going to be so close. There are some bolts getting banged by CJR. It's going to be enough for them to get that final seed, and therefore pretty much the automatic win at this point.
Yeah, well, there you go. A 4% damage already dealt. I don't think it's very possible for VCT to prevent all damage and also deal more than 4% themselves. And here come all of the brawlers. Frank with the super, stunning the Ike, which definitely does not help VCT very much. CJR find themselves on match point.
Man, CJR have shown us how strong they are at turning around games, at clutching up, and also letting individuals pop off when required. They're at match point right now, and I feel like overall as a team VCT was maybe playing a little bit better, but CJR, they were just getting the more impactful kills and getting those individual performances that absolutely turned things around. I'm sorry, I still can't make my mind with Engine winning pretty much single-handedly that gem grab set. Right now it's more of the same, except the team was performing better overall. And that's a great sign as well, because if they are to close this one out against VCT, they'll be facing Nova China next, and they'll need more than just one guy to pop off in order to win that one.
They will. I don't think it's necessarily too fair to say that it's just one player, but like you said, in that last game, it was a very good team effort, although we have seen Engine absolutely shining in gem grab. But it is the same story each time. Again, the first siege bot won by VCT return, and then the comeback from CJR. We'll have to see if the same thing happens again in what could be the final game of this semi-final, unless VCT start to pick things up now. But if they do lose this, that's not the start that they wanted. A very short day here at the June monthly finals, and then having to go lick their wounds and hopefully come back again next month. We'll be seeing very soon. For CJR, though, this is exactly what they need. They need this dominant win. They need that confidence boost so that when they do go up against Nova, they know they can give it a good shot.
Yeah, I think that's a very important factor because obviously this is an important match, right? You're looking at more points, more prize pool, all that good stuff. But the big boss is going to be Nova China next for whoever ends up winning this match. And it does seem like CJR are in the favorable position right now, but getting a convincing win could be everything they need to set things up nicely in the semifinals later on. Well, we'll see how that goes. As so far, this first siege might be going the way of VCT return. It looks like they should be able to get it. Yeah, just ever so barely.
It's the same story again though, Teddy. Look at that. 3 bolts in favor of CJR towards the next one. They're going to grab that 4th bolt as well, as long as Engine can get away with it. And assuming they can prevent the siege bot, okay, it's going to do a little bit of damage this time. But is that enough? I don't know. 4 bolt lead is a good start for CJR.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid start. Because even if they don't get this siege bot and aren't able to retrieve control, just getting a bolt or 2, and they have a nice lead coming into the final bot. Nice kill onto Nayo. Genio just needs to make sure they can bank a couple of bolts, and actually they could just get this siege bot and the lead for the next one as well. There's only 2 bolts on VCT right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good start. Lin just gets annihilated by Dynamite. Great to see a Dynamite, by the way. Just wanted to point that out real quick. That's all good fun. And there you go. Level 9 siege block plus 3 bolts banked towards the next one. This is going to have to be an amazing defense from VCT. But I think with Genio on Ems... Oh, no, Ems goes down. Hang on. This could be a good defense.
So far, it's looking like a pretty solid defense, especially since they do the right thing by going for mid control as soon as they can. Engine is still popping off, though. Nayo is going to get slowed, and I think that this is what makes this comp so great for CJR, is that if you combine the slow from Genio with the shots from the Dynamite, that's just so much damage, and he can't miss his shots because they're barely even moving.
And now we're at that point, Teddy, where this is getting quite painful to watch. Like, there you go. Complete domination in the mid by CJR. 3 seconds left. 8 bolt lead by CJR. There's no way the VCT return take this. CJR run their victory lap. That siege bot is not being stopped, and they will be moving on to the semifinals and facing off against Nova Esports. And that is going to be a tough match for them, but I cannot wait to see that later. Congratulations to CJR, the winners of the second quarterfinals.
All right, well, that took an interesting turn. I mean, I honestly feel bad for VCT because I think that this match was so much closer than, you know, 4-0 in games in favor of CJR, but it is the way it is. You need to be able to close things out, close the deal, and it just didn't really happen here for VCT. CJR going to the semifinals in what so far was a really impressive performance on their end.
Absolutely very impressive. A very interesting games. I don't know if they're against Nova, if they'll be able to get away with starting the games by sort of losing and then making a comeback each time. Although it was incredible to see. Again, Engine with the beautiful TP and elimination on Nayo there. Very, very cool. Then, of course, it was Siege. This was the first game of Siege where we had Frank just wailing on the Siege bot. Like, you're not getting any closer to our Ike. And then, of course, we have the big push after in the final game with Dynamite Kirk popping off, taking out Nayo. Very well played. CJR, definitely one to watch.
Yeah, man, I still love that comp with the M's and Dynamite combined, because Dynamite on his own is going to be struggling, right? It's really hard to hit your shots, and at this level of play, they're going to be dodging you like it's absolutely easy. And thing is, with the M slow, it's literally free kills because they're getting slowed down, and the Dynamite can just, you know, even auto him if he wants. He's going to be hitting 2k damage shots, getting easy frags, and just clear things out really quickly. That was a really interesting play. I mean, it is something I've seen before, but actually being played in competitive as an actual serious strategy, I mean, I just love to see it.
All right. It's that time. Teddy, it's that time. If you've been watching these shows every single time, you'll know what's coming up. We've got a surprise for you guys. If you type #Bo55 in your in-game chat with your in-game player tag, hashtag your name, on Twitch chat or on YouTube chat, within the next 10 minutes, you will be entered for a chance to win one of 15 Underworld Bow skins. Only one tag will be counted per viewer, so don't spam it, just write it once and then be done with it. The 15 lucky winners will be individually notified in-game within a week, and the winners who don't own Bow will also receive the Brawler with this Underworld skin. Again, that is #Bow55 and your unique player tag. Good luck. You got 10 minutes. Make it count. But for now, that is going to be our first 2 quarterfinals down. And as we get ready for the next quarterfinals, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
It's here! The ultimate comatose collaboration from Poco and Sandy, featuring hit tracks Tired of Losing to You,
I'm tired of losing to you.
Dying for a Lion,
No more fiesta. Por favor, give me siesta.
and the number 22 hit single, The Sleepy Joe.
Little brother, say no word. Sleepy to
Sleepy Jones.
Welcome back to the June monthly finals. Welcome, Ark. How you doing today?
I'm good. It's just a relative advert. Sleepy time sounding is kind of how I feel, but I'm good. I'm feeling really excited. I've got to say, I mean, watching those games, we could have seen some stories develop. Nova looked a little bit shaky in that quarterfinals. It never looked quite like that before, so we could see some new stories developing here today.
Go on, Ark. Remind us who suggested that? Who suggested that advert? Who was
Someone
that?
who's got a great sense of creativity and really understands the Brawl world and what is going to combine to make a fantastic album for the whole family. It's the comatose that everyone's looking for in their lives.
You could have just said me. You know, you could have just said the word me, and then we could have moved on, and that would have been great. But we'll go with that. Should we take a look at the bracket and see where we're at so far today? As you said, Nova kicked some butt in the early matches. Well, I would say it was a little bit shaky. And then we had a bit more of a stomp in the previous game between VCT Return and CJR, taking things down very smoothly. Although there were some interesting games, I don't know if you saw those, Ark. Every single game, it looked like VCT Return had the early edge, and then CJR just wham, took it back. We're going to move forwards. It's going to be TKE up against Trick of China coming up next. Trick of China, another team you should be quite familiar with. They were actually one of the finalists last month, narrowly losing out to Nova. They are one of the best teams in this region, and they're certainly putting up a fight and trying to earn their qualification spot.
Yeah, been in the semi-finals twice. The grand final last month lost to Nova Esports 3-1, and this month they want to make it back to that grand final again. They've had a really nice progression, it must be said, in this competition so far. And I like the way they are coming back every month ever stronger. It was the first time they've been under that sort of pressure last month in the grand finals. So they've now had a bit of a taste of it. They actually managed to gain a set over Nova Esports, and that is no easy feat. So ultimately, at the end of the day, TKE have been also in monthly finals. They actually took a loss to Nova Esports back in March on a 2-0. So they'll be looking to try and outdo themselves this time round and try to make it through at least the semi-finals this time.
Well, let's take a look at the bans as we're going to kick things up on Hot Potato. Stu and Bell both banned by TKE. Just get rid of the new... Well, I mean, Squeak's not, but other than Squeak, get rid of the new Brawlers. Max and Colt banned on the other side. Now, Colt is a particularly interesting ban, Ark.
It is. It's the one that I was looking kind of like a bit confuzzled over. I mean, I'll be honest, I do understand it. I've done the same idea myself, and all the pros in EMEA laughed at me. But you can use Colt to break open the entirety of Hot Potato, and it really throws completely off the entire flow of that game mode. And if you go in with brawlers like Rico and Barley, which kind of thrive with those walls, having Colts eradicates that whole approach. So it was something that we saw last month as well in this region. So I'm not kind of too surprised, although maybe some of those watching and are kind of more accustomed to other regional metas, they might be kind of like, having a similar expression to what I had going in. But ultimately, Bell for me, Stu for me, Max for me, all really, really prominent brawlers in the current meta that are just good to get out of the way.
Yep, that absolutely makes sense. And we're going to jump straight in. We got Ems, Surge, and Edgar up against Barley, Rico, and BB. Wow, 6 unique brawlers.
Yeah, not often that you see that. I like the Edgar first and foremost. We saw this earlier today in East Asia also. It's a great counter to Rico. I like the Surge idea because ultimately with less brawlers there to break open the map and the terrain, it's going to be able to really kind of apply the power Surge gadgets with the TP. Burst side damage though in favor of Trick of China. I like the aggression that we're seeing earlier from them.
It looked like we had a little bit of a base race there. However, TKE were able to shut that down. And Trick of China very much on the back foot. This is not the start that we expected from them. Fantastic super from Edgar. Going to get so much splash damage using that star power. But Trick of China were able to shut things down. And now really, they are on their last legs here. 15%. They need to get some good pushes. And they need to get... Firstly, this M's out the way, and secondly, they need to get to the center and save. Imp is going to do what he can, but with Surge and Edgar pushing through the center, he may need to back off.
Yeah, playing a dangerous game, doing super on the aggressive, but it has kind of worked out okay. As on the left hand side, Good Night coming forwards, but look on that right hand side lane, Secret as well as LGK there, and a good shutdown from White will go a long way. But you know, this is the question now: can Trick of China hold this? They're doing a good job, but only one brawler, you know, if they escape through that line, it is going to cause the damage that is needed for TKE to take an early lead here.
Exactly, you know, this isn't Siege. Any brawler can slip through and do this damage at any time. White is in the center, but look, Edgar on the save. BB is going to need to try and get rid of it. Edgar with the super jumps over. The save stays intact, but honestly, 1 or 2 more projectiles will be enough to end things, and Surge is on his way. There is a wipe on TKE now, and Trick of China do get a shot to push. Nice supers coming in from Rico, and if I can get a super as well, that might be almost enough. Things are so close now, Art.
One Edgar jump there, and it could be all over. Secrets is just going to be waiting and buying his time, and I've got to say, Trick of China going to be very, very cautious to that one particular brawler as they sort of are focusing a lot of their attention in the mid. But here goes Secret in, jumps on, gets a connection, and that's all it took.
That is all it took. Man, Trick of China tried the methodical comeback bit by bit, percentage point by percentage point. It was working, but as you said, their safe was so low. Just one little sneaky Edgar push is all it took. And TKE take game 1.
Ultimately, though, I've got to hand it to Trick of China. I mean, they did lose that game, but ultimately they held on for a long, long time, much longer than we'd expect many other teams under that kind of pressure to really go with them. In some instances, it looked like they might have been able to turn that one around, but you know, this is why, you know, Edgar's not such a crazy pick. You know, you can do things like that to kind of like ensure that the final shreds of damage are yours, and has you know, good abilities to counter brawls like Barley and also Rico, which are quite common picks in Hot Potatoes. So it's not the most common of brawler picks. We don't tend to see it you know, a great deal in other regions, but ultimately it can work. You know, it can work.
Yeah, it's honestly just a very cool game. It's just all in all a very cool game. I really wanted to see Trick of China make a comeback there, just because I think it would have made for a cool story, you know, like those cool moments. The comeback from 5% on Heist, Rico holding the line in the mid, but it wasn't meant to be. However, things may be switching up here in this next game. Do you expect to see Trick of China make some changes?
I think it would probably be wise to. I mean, ultimately, you know, we've seen the kind of like, you know, the brawlers cards be shown in that respect. So we're not going to see any change from TKE. M's coming in from Trick of China, which I do like. I think M's here is a pretty solid pick. Ultimately, it could have been just as optional to bring in a B or something to actually break the walls. Ultimately, that was kind of what the Cult ban was all about, really. So ultimately, that could have been an idea to experiment with as well. But either way you look at it, Imp now in a much better position, gets the takedown as well as the stack for his. Yeah, gets a very nice angle, gets the connection, and also gets some damage for his treble, but comes back with that all-important stack. He can keep to, you know, stay on his feet and continue to build those stacks. He'll be able to gain in his strength.
Yeah, and pushing forwards once more. LGK is going to get some good damage coming back at Trick of China's safe, though. And this is an interesting position he finds himself in. He's going to actually decide to back off and try and help his team a little bit, as Rico is pushing forwards and getting an annoying angle on him. Edgar, Secret going to jump forward and is going to get taken out immediately by Goodnight. And now Trick of China are making a little bit more of a comeback here. They're pushing down nicely, comfortably. Imp is on full stacks, and yeah, TKE have their backs against the wall.
I could be honest though, I'm kind of quite intrigued by the scoreline at the moment. It seems very close and very kind of even, and that's not necessarily what these two teams are on paper. Obviously, Trick of China, they're more experienced in the monthly finals and have reached further stages, but ultimately, right now, TKE giving them a real run for their money as the push coming in from Trick of China really does need to connect with the safe at this moment in time to really start to apply some pressure here.
I love that punishing super from the M's there on the Edgar that was trying to take out Surge earlier on the right side. Very, very cool. Bits of damage are starting to be done, and there we go. The save is taking damage. Guys, don't forget, 1 minute left on the raffle. Enter now. That's Bo 50. I mean, it's Bo 55. Bo 55 that you need to type in with your unique player tag to win the Underworld Bow skin. 10 lucky people will win that. But now, speaking of lucky people, well, I wouldn't say lucky, actually. Trick of China finally getting that damage in on the safe. Really proving themselves here. This is what you were worried about not happening before. Well, it's happening, and I don't know that TKE can make a comeback quickly enough.
Well, that's the value there that White was getting from the super bouncy, but now the push coming in from TKE as they start to connect a little bit, but a nice shutdown from White. That is going to, and further damage just to seal the deal as if it wasn't already in the hands of Trick of China that time round. I mean, you know, this is the thing, you know, with experience comes an ability to stay calm and collected under pressure, and that's what we saw. You know, it wasn't kind of like one of those starts to a game of heist where you get a ton of really early damage. It took its time to whistle down to it, but when it did come in, Trick of China capitalized on the moment to make sure that the game was theirs.
Exactly, that's exactly what happened, and it worked out for sure. Let's take a look at the best moments of this game. Things are getting close though, Ark. Things are getting close. It's only the first set, but things are completely tied up. And here are some M's stats. It's clearly Goodnight's M's doing a little bit more damage than XY's M's.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's you know, done a pretty decent job of things that round. I mean, ultimately, you know, what I would say about M's here is it's not the most common of go-tos, but ultimately, you know, it's one that does do very well, and Goodnight just showing us how it's done. Less deaths, more damage to the safe. I mean, that's a good outcome.
Right, guys, the raffle is now over. No more messages will be counted, so you can resume regular chat activity across Twitch and YouTube, but good luck if you entered. I hope you win. That's right, you watching right now. I hope you win. Yeah. Okay, Ark, you can carry on. Just needed to announce that and tell our wonderful viewers that I'm rooting for them, that's all.
It's great. I mean, I've seen a couple of tweets go around this week, and you know, people are winning those skins. It's not just for show. It's a fantastic thing to do this year. I'm really pleased that we're able to provide something unique as we do every month in the BSC. You know, with a lot of the sponsors for the ads and all that kind of stuff. It's really fantastic to see some really creative ideas coming in this month. This year.
Was an unfortunate Edgar jump there, immediately getting eliminated, and now Trick of China have a very nice push. Good night, popping off on the M's there. Fantastic super. Edgar's going to creep around the back, but I don't think it matters too much if all three of Trick of China's brawlers are pushing the safe. No, they are actually going to have to back off and deal with this annoying Edgar. Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those brawlers which can really bring back the momentum there, but I did like the way that Trick of China had what seemed to be like a really aggressive moment there, and I'm not too sure like whether they could have maybe committed a bit more to it, but either way, playing the slow and steady game does, you know, win the race more often than not. So I do you know, relate to the ideas of just kind of like, you know, just taking down the pace. Ultimately, it looks like, you know, for me, TKE have come in here with quite an aggressive kind of playing style, and it is really important that teams do adapt to that and try to play them at their own game. Just try to gain the control, get a couple of takedowns before then applying pressure to the side.
55% remaining for Trick of China, so they do need to do something about this, and look at that, Goodnight is doing something about it right now. Ems is laying down the law. Again, I'm consistently impressed with Goodnight's play here. M is clearly very powerful when in the right hands, when that area of effect is used correctly. And just look at Goodnight go. No threat of being eliminated, and just damage after damage after damage going into the enemy safe. Only 11% remaining now. Even if TKE do make a push, they've got a lot of work to do if they want to win this one.
M just did that cheekiest little super jump over that one shot, which would have been enough. He was at about 700 HP, so it would have absolutely taken him down. And he timed it to perfection to keep the stacks, to stay in position, doing a wondrous job for me on that left-hand side lane. He'll come in now for the last bit of damage, surely. And yeah, this one has got to be in the bag. It's Goodnight coming in to get the last 32 hit points. No, it's still there. White surely with one ball. No. Oh my goodness me, can you imagine if TKE did the impossible here? I don't know whether there's enough time to do it. Either way, you're looking at the damage on the other side of the field. But yeah, Trick of China starting to maybe get their thumbs a bit more warmed up as things are progressing in this matchup.
Yeah, well, there you go. Trick of China are going to take the first set, which means one set remaining for TKE to prove themselves. And yeah, this was a very interesting set in particular due to that first game, just how well TKE played it. Look at this Edgar really popping off multiple times there. You said at the beginning that you liked the Edgar pick. Well, it certainly seemed to be paying off a lot until the second and third games where Trick of China really did begin to dominate. And there are moments there where I guess that is the weakness of Edgar. When Edgar just jumps in and just dies immediately, that happens surprisingly often. Again, I want to point out just how well I think Goodnight played that, just how powerful the M's was, but generally just well played overall by Trick of China.
Yeah, it just felt like over a period of time they started to kind of collect themselves. Maybe some communication came into play there as well. You know, the voice cords starting to get warmed up and people start to communicate a bit more effectively. The damage to the safe there was more in favour of Imp on the surgeon. I got to say, I really did like a lot of the ways that he was playing very evasively and very cautiously on that left-hand side lane. But, you know, one thing I've got to say, though, you've got to give credit where credit's due, and TKE have only ever lost to Nova Esports. I mean, that's not a bad team to lose to in a monthly final. So as far as how they're going to be approaching games, there's very little that we necessarily know about how they fare in monthly finals based on that one performance. So you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt and never overestimate or underestimate a team, and just kind of treat every game mode and every moment one thing at a time. Going into our next game mode, of course, Siege and Factory Rush here. Expecting very different brawlers, very different kind of... Lou, yes, Lou. Sorry, I thought you said no. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Factory Rush. Yeah, Lou's a fantastic brawler on defense here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the team that don't bring in Lou are going to have to consider bringing in some kind of wall breaker, because ultimately, you know, that's the best way to counter a solid Lou defense, to break open the bricks and the walls to be able to direct the bot straight through.
You know I like me some Siege, and you know I like me some Lou gameplay arc, so I am hyped for this. I'll be very disappointed if it doesn't happen, but at the moment, I'm hyped for this. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if TKE are able to begin to make a comeback, or if Trick of China can continue to dominate. Again, Trick of China faced off against Nova in the finals last month. And like TIG, they were able to take a set off of Nova, which until recently just wasn't happening. They did end up losing 3-1. But, you know, they're still a very good team. The fact they even got to the finals in the first place just shows how powerful they are and shows how tough a matchup this quarterfinals is for TKE. But we'll see if they can begin to make a comeback, as Siege is going to start right now.
Straight off the bat then for Goodnight with Mortis. We are going to see Lou on both sides. Are you happy about that one, Falco?
Very happy, very happy about that indeed. But it's also to be expected again. Lou's super is just so good defensively on this map and a few other Siege maps that you'd just be crazy not to consider bringing Lou. Colette there getting a first elimination on Goodnight on the right side with a very nice super. We get a tie Siege to begin things, which is a very scary position to be in when you've got two Lus in the game. These pushes are going to be extremely important. Amber Imp tears through Secret, and now Trick of China seem to have control of the center, even just marginally. If they can get that bolt off of Colette on the right, they're going to be in a fantastic spot. The Colette is going to bank the bolt though, but Amber banking the bolt on the left. This is going to be insane, Ark. Whoever wins this siege is almost guaranteed to lose the final one.
Yeah, when the bolts are this highly stacked, it does become a bit of a troublesome push for the final one for the team on the defense side of things. What I've got to say though, however, is that Trick of China did not bring in any wall breakers. So ultimately, look at the Secret as well. If that push does come inbound, then he'll be looking to pull through some from Trick of China to really open up the breakpoint. This pull there though is not showing signs of promise for that kind of push if they are able to to obtain it. Obviously, they've got to defend this level 11 first before we can even get to that stage.
I gotta take back what I said before, Ark. It's actually 6-4. Trick China could easily win the next siege in addition to this one, but the defenses come in now. I wouldn't really expect any damage to be dealt to the Ike here unless it makes a push, but they're gonna want to focus more on winning the final siege. So, nope, 0% damage done from that level 11 siege, but again, just going to show how powerful Lu is, as he was able to pretty much single-handedly defend that. And now, this battle for the mid is all that matters in this game.
Honestly, Lou is just like built different in Siege. I don't really feel like this should be allowed. But ultimately, that is a pitch-perfect defense. And let's see how the mid fares at the moment. The bolts are pretty neck and neck, it must be said. Is this an attack then for TKE? And they only need a little shred of damage here. So watch out for that gene puller. But ultimately, the player has gone down and needs to get back into the thick of it. If they can't pull the player, they've got to fly it up. It could well end in a time.
We'll see. Oh no, Colette comes in! Gets the super on the save! That is going to be enough damage regardless of what happens to the siege bot now. Yep, Colette alone, that's super. That's all it took. That was all that happened. The damage was dealt. And TKE are going to take the first game of siege. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of little defense, but ultimately, you know, if you can just get like a tiny little trickle in that push, despite a really solid defense otherwise, that's all you're going to need. So
one tick of Rude Sands would have done that, right? One little tick of Rude Sands. I mean, it wasn't a sandy. It didn't matter how much damage was dealt. Like, damage was dealt, and that's enough.
Yeah, any brawler ideally that can kind of like apply that damage from a distance. I mean, this is why Bard is actually not a bad shout in a lot of the siege maps. Also, just be able to go over the top regardless and do a bit of a dive to ensure that you've got that damage in the event of a good solid Lu defense. But again, you know, this is a counterable idea. It's just that at the moment, I guess the teams are kind of feeling each other out, seeing whether they're going to play a Lu, seeing what brawlers are going to be combining with Lu. I like the Colette idea. It's not for me the go-to kind of comp in this scenario here, but you know, Max being banned does make a big difference into the brawlers that can kind of close the gap quickly. Without that speed, teams to be able to really utilize it's going to be a slightly different meta here. But I believe Gene was still on the cards here, so kind of a little bit surprised to see as little as we did, anything one side playing Gene in that particular game. So I kind of would expect to see Gene on both sides myself. But you know, at the end of the day, if it works, right? And that's the thing to consider here.
Like you said, wall breakers are so huge against a Lu. And also, again, you mentioned that just a brawler being able to dive and do a little bit of damage, that is also important because that's all that won the game, Colette. You know, making that little dive and it paying off thanks to the shield. We'll have to see what the teams do differently this time. Will Trick of China switch things up? Will both teams continue to bring Lu? I have to say I expect that they will, but I'm ready to be surprised.
I mean, this is kind of going back to the Colt ban as well, because in the EMEA region last week, we saw Yoshi actually bringing in specifically Colt in this exact map with Lu being played, and the silver bullets that he was using really came into great effect. So I actually can kind of see now that Colt was not just a ban for Hot Potato, but also a direct ban with this map in mind, as well as that kind of counter idea. I'm very curious to see whether we'll see a mix-up or a change-up. I think, you know, Piper's an interesting idea. With Mortis, it's a little bit risky. I personally do love playing Piper here, but it's not necessarily the most common of ghosts. I think Colette's probably a bit more of a solid kind of mid-controller. But I do like the introduction of Carl that we're seeing from Goodnight here on that right-hand side lane, and I think that's probably a wise route to go with. Ultimately, having the flying hook and some speed with that maneuverability will go a fairly long way in terms of banking bolts in favour of China here.
Well, they get the level 2 siege bot up first, and here it comes. Very nice early control from Trick of China indeed. XY's pop the gadget is going to be dealing... Oh, actually missed the gadget pop attack. That's unfortunate. And Lu doesn't have the super ready. This is not a good start from TKE. Not sure exactly how that happened, but now Imp is coming in from the left and ready to just deal a little burst of damage. And you know, that 4% could be what makes all the difference.
Exactly that, and just using the opportunity right now whilst they've got that mid-control in that left-hand side lane. Shut down really nicely by Imp. Got to shout that one out because it's forced everyone to the right-hand side here. TKE all clustered and clumped up together. Whilst on the other side, Trick or China are utilizing that Magic Puff star power to do very much the same, but gain some healing at the same time. It's placing a lot of pressure upon TKE to really fight back into the mid. The ice block on the left-hand side from Imp was actually very much to the credit of Secret's awareness there to time the pull when he did, because yeah, he wasn't going to really gain much otherwise. But now LGK does have the super to hand, and you're seeing the difference in the defense now.
Yeah, it feels like Trick of China's whole strategy now needs to be to win this next siege, which is a little bit trickier because of the 3-bolt advantage for TKE, and also it does seem that TKE have better control of the center. But there you go, it's all going to come down to this. Imp throws up a super to slow down Secret. That's pretty annoying for the Gene, but gets past it just fine. LGK is going to grab a bolt and actually retreat back into the siege zone with it. So essentially banking that one safely. White is low on health, but Trick of China has managed to hit the center. Was it fast enough? No, it wasn't.
Attack coming in with that 4% come back around.
No new super ready. No new super ready.
No new super ready, and LGK has his, but he actually put it to Imp there, and that could be costly. Let's see what Secret can do. If you can get a pull here on Imp, it'll be huge, but they're not even going to go for that. They're going to just tank it on the left-hand side. That's all they need. That's literally all they need. And now, as quickly as that little bit of 4% is nowhere to be seen. The damage was done, and yeah, it made sense. You can gene pull through those walls, but ultimately, if you can just kind of tank a few hits with 2 players available to get that damage that you need, job done.
TKE win set 2, which means we are going all the way once more to set 3 in this quarterfinals game. We're going to be playing some bounty. Things are going to get really serious between these two teams. Trick of China do not want to fall at this stage.
I mean, this is quite a turn-up. Honestly, I mean, Trick of China in these early stages, don't tend to show much sign of weakness. They're definitely not looking like the way that we've seen them in previous months. So I've got to say, massive credit to TKE for ruffling some feathers here, because especially in the quarterfinal stages, this could be a turn-up for the books.
Well, there you go. Trick of China on the back foot a little bit there, although it goes to show here with the stats just how good Lou was. Lots of bolts grabbed, lots of damage done, and as we know, probably not recorded so well in the stats, extremely good defense. We're going to play some Shooting Star now with Bounty. It's going to be some long-range shenanigans going on. I don't believe that Piper or Nani or Tick were banned, so I know what I'm expecting to see.
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty safe bet. I mean, one thing to note as well going into this this third set is that Trick or China have never dropped a set in the quarterfinals. So this is already surely got to play on their minds a little bit. They've always got through to the semi-finals with at least a 2-0. So with that in mind, a bounty is a stressful game mode as it is. But when you've got that position that you've never found yourselves in, just taking that first loss could happen very quickly. Could happen across the map with a peep, with a nanny peep head going in, unaware, and it can really turn quite quickly in bounties. So I think Trick or China will be very, very careful here, especially if they want to keep up with their great track record as they have done in previous monthly finals now.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be a really tough match or set indeed. Trick of China do not want to lose this one. Again, they took a set off of Nova in the finals last month. Imagine going from there to just being eliminated in the quarterfinals. That is not what any team want. That would be further steps away from qualifying for the World Finals, which is exactly what they are striving for. They cannot not afford to lose to TKE here. They just can't. Here we go. It's Nani, Tick, and Piper versus Byron, Tick, and Nani. Trick or China changing things up just a little bit, removing that Piper. But here we go. Let the sniping begin.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna say too much about the Byron pick, just that I would always go with my go-to here, and that would be the Piper, the Tick, and the Nani hit. But I mean, ultimately, you know, it is going to be make or break. Trick or China playing something a bit different, which like, you know, could be something that TKE are not expecting, as I was not expecting it. But there is the peak connection on that right-hand side here, and that will give a 1-star lead in favor of TKE. But it must be noted the blue star is with Trick of China, and Bounty can turn very, very quickly at any given moment.
Secret goes down. That's an early lead for Trick of China, but no, XY with the snipe on good night reverses things once more, which means Trick of China on the back foot. White playing quite aggressively there is gonna super the Nani, but gets hit by the gadget and then just wiped out by the Tick. However, on the other side of things, Trick of China's Nani takes out the other Nani. Now Piper Tick. I can't keep up with this up.
Oh my goodness me, Secret a little disgusting return descended there, and White got the bitter end of it. And yeah, XY with some great snipes on the right hand side. There's White going down again. That's going to extend the star lead in favor of TKE by 4. And now the blue star shifted over to the ideal person, because ultimately, you know, XY is probably in a better position than anyone to avoid it. Secret with a nasty shot onto White there as well, really connecting with these Nani shots. And this is Trick or China really now at their most desperate. They've got to make a kill, and they've got to be very defensive around them. Where to go about this? Oh, a connection maybe? Oh,
what?
Byron, the one brawler that I questioned, coming in clutch.
So, okay, I'm going to need to watch that back. Because at the last moment, my eyes were on the Tick head as it went into the Nani and the Tick, and blew them up, but didn't actually deal enough damage. So I'm going to need to watch that final moment back once more. I can't tell you, because I'm really not sure what happened. Right, here we go. So it was a Byron.
I think it was Byron in the mid. Secret was low for the last hurrah there to defend it, but then that one shot there, oh, it was actually a Tick mine. The shot from Byron just came in after the final second, but I think it's that one final Tick mine then.
Incredible! Trick of China go from being on the back foot most of the games, just stealing that win at the last possible moment. They are on match point and 1 game away from qualifying to the quarter-finals. Oh my goodness.
But was it comfortable? That's the thing.
There's nothing comfortable about that game, Mark.
Yeah,
there was nothing comfortable about that.
I would say that for the most part, TKE were in control, and that's something that they've got to not lose sight of. They've got to remember that going into this next game, because I feel like they will definitely feel shortchanged, and that can definitely play on the mind. It can kind of lower the morale, and that was something which they had going in their favor really nicely until that point in time. So I think that now that could definitely go into Trick or China's favor if TKE lose composure.
This time Trick or China going to bring a Brock, really not wanting to bring a Piper under any circumstances. Brock goes down to Secret. TKE get an early lead. No blue star, but that's fine if they can stay alive, but I expect a lot of eliminations to happen. XY goes down to Imp's gadget on the Nani there with the little reversal. Very nice start for Trick or China.
To be honest, I cannot remember the last time I saw Brock with full rocket. I literally cannot for the life of me remember. I can see the approach that White's going for here is to kind of like really assert a lot of dominance and pressure on that left-hand side lane. Horseback Secret and trying to juke the shots as he does so to really kind of gain a position of power. The stars are reflecting that the strategy is working. So it's an interesting idea. There's a nice last hurrah, clutch second last hurrah there from LGK in the mid. Yeah, I just don't personally, and I will stand by it, even if they win. I will always stand by here, Piper, Tick, Nani. But ultimately, you know, again, if this strategy works out well for Trick or China, then there's more power to them.
I mean, Trick or China are very ahead at the moment, Ark, so no complaints now. Tick head goes down. Secret does find White once again. White does seem to be the player. Again, going with the unusual brawlers, but that's fine. Trick China is still 4 stars ahead, and obviously if White eliminates again now, that's only 2 stars. So he can afford to play that a little bit riskier than his teammates, especially the Tick. Secret is pushing really hard, and White does go down once more. Goodnight really could do with doing something about Secret on the Nani.
So there is a connection to Goodnight. He's again got that blue star, 10 seconds remaining, and LGK did really well actually with that peep head to tank.
Oh, Goodnight
in a very dangerous spot. He didn't. Oh, no! The follow from beautiful follow. But there's the return on the left-hand side from White. A fantastic
there you go.
turn around.
So,
but a very, very close finale there.
It didn't really matter, because even after that first elimination from TKE, Trick China still had the blue star. They were tied, and Trick China had the blue star. So Trick China were ahead. But those last 2 eliminations really, twisted the knife and got them their win. That was an incredible match for a quarterfinals, and commiserations to TKE. They fought hard, and it would have been great to see them in the semi-finals this month.
Yeah, a hugely valiant attempt, and again, we haven't seen too much to really go on from them in monthly finals. But honestly, they have made a mark in my mind going into the next ones to come. Honestly, they have really, really excelled in a way that I don't think in this stage of the competition many may have expected. I think that Trick China on paper had more experience, more results in prior monthly finals, so they definitely were stirred today, 100%. And I kind of wonder now whether, despite TKE leaving the competition at this stage, whether they've maybe made a deeper mark in the mentality of Trick China, and whether we may see that kind of maybe see them exit the competition a little bit earlier this time round. But ultimately, they can be absolutely proud of their performance today.
Well, they've got time to reset before their semi-final anyway. They'll be facing up against TIG Origin or ATM, so it's not going to be an easy semi-final for them anyway, as it's going to be, they're the 3 teams, right? Nova, Trick of China, and TIG that seem to be really battling for these top spots in this region. And based on that logic alone, it is Nova that has the easier path to the finals this month compared to last month, where they had to battle TIG in the semis and then face Trick of China in the finals. Speaking of TIG, we're going to move on to our 4th and final quarterfinals of the day. TIG Origin are going to face up against ATM. Again, TIG Origin are they're known as the team that have sort of been second now for a year. They're biting at Nova Esports' heels. They want it. Maybe this will be the month that they get it, because last month they put a very good fight up against Nova.
Oh, that was honestly one of the most exciting semi-finals in this region, and yeah, by match point margin, it really did come down to the wire between Nova Esports and TIG Origin. They just came short, but ultimately they've only ever lost to Nova Esports. That's the thing to consider and remember here. They've made it to grand finals in March, grand finals in April, going out on the scoreline 3-0 to Nova. Not the greatest of grand finals scores, I would say, but ultimately just getting to the grand final is no easy feat. So this time round, in terms of the bracket, I would say it's probably looking a little bit more, in favor of TIG Origin if they can come out with a win in the quarterfinals today. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The bands are going to come in first. We've got to see whether they can get through this first stage before we even get that far.
Ticket Stew banned by TIG, Barley and Stew banned by ATM. Oh, Barley banned. That is interesting.
Tick as well, despite, honestly, in my opinion, the one map and mode that I would have most expected to have seen Tick thrive in, which was Shooting Star, just gone. Triple, though, can lend itself well to throwers. Ultimately, though, it does depend upon the spawns, and going in, if you're faced up against the Mortis on your opposing lane side, you don't really want to be running a vulnerable thrower that's going to struggle in close proximity to a really aggressive brawler. So I'm not really too sure necessarily whether the throwers were as prominent as maybe they've been placed in terms of the bans. Minecart Bandits is always great for control, so I can kind of see why that might be the case, but there's some huge gaps here for me. There's going to be Bell, there's going to be Max, there's going to be Mortis, Max and Jean combination here.
I don't think we've even seen Bell all day today, actually. I think Bell was banned in only one match so far, but we haven't... Bell, there she is!
Yeah, not wasting any time to get her onto the map, and interesting that actually ATM are going to be going with Jean but with no Max, and on the other side of things, TIG Origin going to be utilising the Max and the Carl, definitely going with a more speedy approach here.
Very nice start from ATM, just wiping out TIG Origin and getting a very nice push forwards. Super is ready. There goes the pull, taking out the defenses too. Ems torn to pieces. I don't know if TIG Origin can defend this. This is ATM's huge opportunity. Someone on the left side just needs to get that damage in. Jason is very weak. Oh, missing the shots.
Forday with the speed as well, just to kind of... I'm surprised, to be fair, that someone on the left-hand side, we're going to be referring to him as someone, so just trying to keep up with that. Someone on the left-hand side there, I feel like he went back a bit defensive.